Welcome back to our third session of Class 1, and what we're going to cover here is some basic personalization, and then we'll discuss the various different searches that are available. Now, we briefly went into admin your preferences before. We're going to go back there now. So admin your preferences. The MLS allows you to change an awful lot of things. It really does. And there's a couple of things that you probably want to look at here. The first is make sure you have this first checkbox checked, the show pictures on listing details screen. Otherwise, when you look at your listings, you won't see the pictures, and obviously the internet is a very visual thing. Another one that you wanted to take care of is this one that says preferred report format. I believe that the default is PDF and you want it to be in HTML. Now, the fact that you're in HTML doesn't mean that you can't save a PDF. You absolutely can, but it will make it much easier for you to save your reports. I don't know why they have PDF as the default, but whatever. The next one, listing input defaults. I would strongly suggest that you set Los Angeles County as your default. This does not mean that you can't take the occasional listing elsewhere. You can, absolutely. But since the majority of your listings are going to be in Los Angeles County, just set that as your default. I would not recommend setting any default for your city or area, unless you just specialize in one very, very small area. But I personally wouldn't do it. Okay, let's come down to the searching defaults. This is very important. I would set the one-line grid as being your default search. It has some very special features that we'll look at in the next section. Actually, I think the section after that, where we're talking about sorting our searches and what have you. I would check the box that says sort as selected, and again, you won't know what that means now, but it will help you later on. Make sure your sort increment is the number 10. If it's the number 1, change it to a 10. Again, won't necessarily make sense now, but it will make sense in a couple of sessions here. And I would also use the automatically check all search results. Now, you can sort your properties by 3 different criteria. And what I want you to notice is that the top of a list, you see when I go up the list here, go up above on market, the top of a list is a blank. So if you want to have something blank, just go to the very top of the list. Preferred search counties. I would strongly suggest that you never use county in your search. Totally unnecessary. I just wouldn't even go there, and I certainly would not specify a preferred search county. The default for size measurement is acres. Really? Okay. I would strongly suggest you change that to square feet. And then, of course, property types. What you're going to do is you're going to check the one you work with most. So if you specialize in residential income, 2+ units, make sure you check that. What this does is it's going to bring up the subcategories for whatever you check in your search window. And we'll see that in a little while. Email defaults. I wouldn't worry too much. You might want to just say default subject, listings from Chris Griffiths, or I'd suggest you put your name in actually, but whatever. And then let's get into the auto prospecting. Okay, now this we're not going to cover until class 2, but I believe the default right now is for the client portal subject line to be blank. I would strongly suggest that you put something in like invitation to view MLS listings from your name or whatever. You don't want to have a blank subject line. If you send emails with blank subject lines, more often than not, you'll get put into spam. Hot sheet defaults, I would set that to standard, and I would check the button for days back. You can use any number between 0 and 14. I'm going to put 10 days. Okay. And then when we come down, the last thing we're going to change is down here at the bottom. You have the ability to change the map to come up with what you want. Okay, so if you specialize in La Cañada, you might want to make La Cañada your where you come up. Okay, I tend to do a slightly larger area, so I'm just going to bring up a map like this. Okay, there we go. Let's have a look. There we go. So we got that, and there we go. We'll do that. And the last thing I would change is down here at the very bottom. We're going to change the default search radius. The default is 1/4. I would suggest making it 1/2. As we've said before, there is no autosave. So you need to come up to the top left and click save, and that will now be there forever and a day. Okay, we're going to take a quick look at the searches menu. Okay, now the searches menu This is to search the MLS. Okay, and we'll come back to that point in just a second. The first thing you'll see is saved searches. Right now we don't have any, but I'll show you how to do that, and I'll show you what impact they have. They're very useful if you tend to search the same thing over and over. Saved hot sheets, again, we don't have any right now. We will have some in a minute. Recent searches, quite frankly, it's a bust. I wouldn't use it, whatever. Hot sheet we'll talk about later. Now, quick and standard. There is virtually no difference between the two. In fact, the quick search is missing only 8 fields from the standard search. And what this essentially means is that the quick search is not even a nanosecond quicker than the standard search. And of course, Murphy's Law says that if you use the quick search, you'll desperately miss one of those 8 fields. I mean, it's always the way, isn't it? So my advice, ignore the quick search completely. The standard search is much better. The custom search is something that I cover in Class 3. It basically gives you the option of creating your own search, and what I personally use it for, and what I'll show you in Class 3, is to do a genuinely quick search, a really stripped down search. Now, the radius search is very important. You probably already know that if you're doing a comparative market analysis, you're going to want to use a radius search. But I would not recommend using the radius search. Why? Because it's not going to show you what's included in your radius. What you want to use instead is the map search. Now, the map search is actually 3 searches rolled into one. It is a standard search, it is a map, and it is a radius search. So in your day-to-day business, really the only search you need is the map search. The address search, we've already seen that you can use either the speed search or the listing locator to very quickly look up an address. But what you can do here is look up a range of addresses. So what I would suggest you use this for is, let's say you're looking for a condo on South Orange Grove, you know, where your clients can wake up on New Year's Day and see all the floats lined up. You can search 200 through 1200. I'm looking for a 2-bed, 2-bath with a spa, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so use the address search to look for a range of addresses. Now, the listing number search, complete waste of space. It used to be the only way you could look up multiple listing numbers. What you'll find is 20 little boxes. You can do it much quicker now, either in the speed search or the listing locator, where you can put as many listing numbers as you want, just separated by a comma, no space. Okay, let's look at this one. APN tax ID. Well, this looks very similar to the tax search up here. What's the difference? Well, the difference is that if you look up an APN here in the APN tax ID, you are only searching in the MLS database. So you will only find properties if they either are listed now or have been listed in our history. If you're looking for a property that's never been listed, go to the tax search. We'll cover that in Class 3. Phenomenally useful tool. Basically, you have all of the tax data for the whole of the state of California. Incredible tool. All right, open house. As a listing agent, you can put as many open houses in as you want. They are mappable and searchable by other agents and by the public. Very useful tool. Broker tour, we actually don't use this. It's used by another MLS. The agent office. This is every agent and office in Southern California. You remember that map we looked at back in session 1. 93,000 agents. So if you have a offer from an agent down in Redondo Beach, you'll find their information here. Okay, very useful. What are we going to do now? There we go. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to finish this section, and I'll come back, and in our next section we're going to learn how to do the map search. Thank you.